Welcome to your HR Ally. Are you trying to apply for a job in the NHS or confused about the different bands the NHS has to offer? And you're not actually even sure how the recruitment process works? This is the video for you. Today, I'm breaking down the recruitment guide, everything you need to know about applying for your job in the NHS, working in the NHS, and actually even growing your career in the NHS. Today, this video is packed with insider tips, real-life examples, and knowledge that will save you time and stress when going through that application process. Stick with me till the end and I'll share a free way to practice your interview skills to boost your chances of getting hired in the NHS. 2025 is our year. So the first part we'll be looking at is for you to understand what each band actually means in the NHS. One thing that confuses people a lot is the band system within the NHS. There are different bands from band 2 to band 9. Band 2 roles consist of healthcare assistant, support roles, and clerical roles. These are kind of like entry-level roles into the NHS. That is for band 2 to band 3. Band 4 roles are assistant practitioners and senior support workers. Band 5s are entry-level professionals like all nurses and physios. Band 6 to 7 are specialist role and senior level roles with more responsibilities. Band 8 to 9 are senior managers, consultants, and directors. One thing you need to realize is that the higher the band, the more competitive it is, and the more complex interviews that you would have to sit to be able to get these roles. Even at lower bands, the NHS values are very important skills for you to have. They are as important as the skills that you bring into the organizations. So knowing what the NHS values are really important. At whatever level, you need to always show compassion, teamwork, and respect for patients when you're sitting in front of that panel. So those are the kind of things you need to ensure that you're saying during your interviews. The next section we'll be looking at is how does the recruitment process actually work? Applying for a job in the NHS seems like a job on its own. So you need to be focused and you need to have a targeted approach when doing this. There are 5 sections or 5 key areas when applying for a job in the NHS. The first part is actually finding the job. You can find the jobs for NHS roles on either TRAC or NHS Jobs itself. The next section is completing that job application. So this has different sections in it from the application process. So from you putting in your details to you filling out the most important part, which is the supporting information. This part you need to ensure you're getting right. I have videos on my channel where I've talked about writing the perfect supporting statement. All what you need to do to ensure that you get shortlisted lies mainly on the supporting. Getting shortlisted for an interview in the NHS mostly depends on how strong your supporting information is. I have a video on my channel where I've given you different insights into crafting the perfect supporting statement. I will link that video somewhere in this area or somewhere at the bottom so you can know how best to write the perfect supporting statement. Once you've completed your application, you've submitted it, it is up to the recruiting manager to shortlist. This is done by either 2 to 3 people shortlisting for the role that has been advertised. It might take them a couple of days to a couple of weeks, depending on how many people have actually applied for the role. Once shortlisting has been done, then it's the interview. The interview is usually competence-based interview, mostly from the band 3s to the band 9s, where we would expect that you are given star answers. There's also a video on my channel where I've given you different examples from band 2s to band 6 on real life interview questions and answers that can help you secure your roles. I usually sit on interview panels where we recruit people into the NHS. So you using these videos that I've done on my channel would definitely help you. I would also link some videos that I have done on interview tips and tricks in the NHS. Once we finish the interview process, the next thing that would happen is the pre-employment checks. This includes your DBS, your reference checks, and occupational checks as well, depending on the role you're going for. I need you to really understand that the supporting statement is what stands between you and getting interview. So this section covers applying for your role, getting shortlisted, interviewing, and the pre-employment checks. These are the 5 different sections of how the recruitment process works. The next section of the NHS guide is the interview preparation. Like I said previously, I've done loads of videos on preparing for your NHS interview from Band 2s to Band 6. NHS interviews are competency-based interviews. Tell us about the time you worked in a team. How do you maintain confidentiality? How would you respond to a difficult client asking for something? Like I said in my video, the best way to answer these questions are using the STAR method. That's the situation, the task, the action, and the results. Also, when you're giving your answer at the end, do a reflective piece of what you've learned from that situation, which actually sits well with the interviewers. You need to always ensure as well during your interviews, you are linking your answers to the NHS values. The NHS values are compassion, everyone counts, working together, improvement life, commitment to quality care, respect, and dignity. Ensure that these 6 values are always in the answers that you give. During your interview, if you are asked about teamwork, don't just say what you did. You need to go further and tell us how your actions improved patient care. So bringing in the NHS values into that answer. Ensure that the STAR answer you're giving incorporates the NHS values, putting them at the forefront, that the values that the NHS has is also the same values that you have. So always ensure you're linking in the NHS values to whatever answers you are given. The next section of the NHS reference guide is the essential policies and checks. The first one we'll be looking at is your right to work. So you will need to ensure you have the right paperwork to be able to work in the United Kingdom. This includes visas, passports, whatever you have to ensure that you actually have the right to work within the NHS. The next one is the DBS check to ensure that we're actually safeguarding the people that you'll be looking after and also actually even safeguarding yourself as well. So the DBS check is an important aspect of working within the NHS. There are different levels of DBS check that is done. So depending on the area that you're going to be working on will determine what kind of DBS check will be done for you. The third essential check that will be done is the occupational health check. This is a health clearance check to ensure that you're actually fit for the role that you actually applied for. This might include physical checks, immunization checks, and you might actually need to get immunized on some different vaccines to be able to work in some certain areas within the NHS because of the people that you will be looking after. So all these health checks are quite important to protect yourself and also protect the people you'll be looking after. The fourth area that we'll be looking at in terms of this section is references. So the references usually covers the last 3 years. So it doesn't really matter if you've worked in the UK or you've worked abroad, they would still need a reference check for you to be able to work within the NHS. So this reference check would be sent to your previous employers that you've worked to ensure that you're actually the person that you say you are when you applied for the role. A quick tidbit is that if there are gaps within your role, especially for references, you need to have explained it properly in your application form. So ensuring that you're open and honest with regards to gaps or with regards to anything that you feel would be found out when these checks are done. Having gaps in your employment is not a bad thing, as long as you've explained the reason for the gaps. I have a video on my channel as well where I talk about filling in the perfect job application. I'm going to link that somewhere in this video so that you can go to it and be able to reference filling out the perfect NHS application on either TRAC or NHS Jobs. The next section of the NHS reference guide is your NHS benefits and entitlements. There's another video on my channel where I've covered all the benefits in depth. One of the reasons why people love working for the NHS is the NHS benefit because they are better compared to working in other sectors. I've done a video where I talk about the different 11 benefits of working for the NHS. I'll link that video in here so that you can go back and watch the amazing benefits that the NHS has to offer. Some of the key benefits: annual leave, sickness absence, maternity, paternity leave. The most important one, the NHS wonderful pension, flexible working, career breaks, career progression, training. There are loads and loads of benefits. The NHS is a fantastic place to work, and I'm sure you're looking forward to coming into this wonderful area. The sixth section of this NHS reference guide is career progression. One of the best things about the NHS is progression. A Band 2 can easily move up to a Band 3 or a Band 4 with extra training. Band 4 practitioners can go on to train as registered nurses. Band 5 nurses can easily move up to a Band 6 specialty role after a couple of years with training. In the NHS, there are loads of apprenticeships, there are loads of leadership training, and there are loads of extra trainings for you to be able to level up your career easily. I would always suggest for you to know who the apprenticeship leads or who the educational leads are in your organization, to be able to speak to them, to know how best to move up into different bands. When you're sitting in front of that interview panel, you need to let them know that you see the NHS job that you're applying for, not just about the job itself, but also about the career that you plan on having within the NHS. We love keeping our people in the NHS. That's why you hear or you see loads of people that have worked within the NHS for 10, 20, 30, 40 years because of the amount of progression that they would have had in the NHS. Someone like me, I've worked in the NHS for the last 10 years, and I don't think I'm planning on leaving the NHS anytime soon. I would really want you to join me in this wonderful organization that I love and that I feel everyone should be part of, because you're making a little difference to the society, because the NHS is the healthcare system for the whole country. So there you have it, your key NHS reference guide for 2025, where we've covered areas from the different band, the application process, your checks, the benefit, interview, and the career progression in the NHS. If you found this video useful, please remember to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, comment, and also share with your friends who you feel would benefit from this video. At the beginning of the video, I did promise you a free way to practice for your interview. And here you have it. What are the ways you would need to practice for your interview in the NHS? Use the job description and the job specification as a tool to practice for your NHS interview. I've done loads of videos, like I said, where I have given real interview questions and answers from an interview where I've sat on the panel. Please bear in mind that these are sample questions from the trust I currently work, so they might be different from any other trust. So use your job description and person specification to prepare for your interview. Did you know that in the job specification section, they've already told you what areas would be used as part of the interviews? So you need to focus on those areas, and the job description gives you detailed areas of what the job would entail. That is a gold mine. I would also want you to record yourself when you're interviewing using the questions and answers that I have done on my videos to be able to answer those questions confidently. When you see yourself being recorded, it does help you to know if you're actually sounding right or you're actually even answering the question that has been asked. So that's a way for you to prepare for your interview. I would also suggest that you do like a mock interview session with a paid professional or family or friends. One of the things I offer is interview coaching. You can always reach out to me via this video or via my email, which you will find in my profile. I can always help with that. You will need to make sure that how you're answering your question is using the STAR method, which is the situation, task, actions, and results. And I'd like to add also reflection at the end of that answer. You can also join different Facebook, Reddit groups on Twitter, anywhere that you feel that might help you with interview preparation questions. But like I said, I have loads of videos on my channel where I've given real life interview questions and answers. So those videos are quite goldmine and valuable for you to be able to have. So there you have it, your free interview tips to be able to get hired in the NHS. Thanks for staying to the end. I really appreciate your time that you've spent with me. Until next time, where I bring you more insider tips into the NHS. Take care. Bye.